Hi, I'm Adrian here with Priceless Realty in Cape Coral, Florida. Hopefully enjoying my videos been put on YouTube. I'm going to talk about one of the things I've run into lately, seeing on social media, seeing on YouTube, and even just things in general, that the sky is falling in real estate in Florida, particularly Southwest Florida. And we zoom it down into our area, Cape Coral, which is where I live. I've been selling here for over 25 years. I've seen all different type of markets in that time period here. And our market, it's definitely like the Titanic, like you see behind me right here. You might wonder why Titanic stuff. Well, just a matter of interest, my great-great-grandfather, James Kirkham, died on Titanic. He worked in the base of the ship as a greaser, so he went down with the ship. And unfortunately his wife, or fortunately for me, his wife and his daughter stayed behind, or else I wouldn't be here doing this video. So that's why you see Titanic stuff. So anyway, I see some crazy numbers about number of homes for sale in our area, and it's definitely on the rise, and I'll explain to you the reason why behind that. But I see numbers of 4, 5, 6,000. Somebody posted a video, this is a repeat of 2008 all over again, which is most definitely not. Back in 2008, for example, Cape Coral had 8,000 homes for sale. Yeah, you heard me right, 8,000 homes for sale. Where we stand right now is in single family homes, which is predominantly what I sell. I do sell condos and land and other things as well, but I mainly look at single family residence. We stand right now at just under 2,800 homes. That is probably the most we've seen in 10 years, but it certainly doesn't mean that the sky is falling, because the number of homes that we see now was a fairly common number of market that we saw some years ago. And obviously when we went through COVID and stuff like that, there was a change in the number of homes for sale. In fact, let me do something and I will show you what I mean by that by looking at this particular graph right here. So this is where we stand right now based on last month in the sales. I'm going to look at Cape Coral only. This shows like active inventory across the whole gamut everywhere, which is going to be Fort Myers down towards Naples, Marco, Lehigh, so Fort Myers Beach. So it's a big area. It covers our county, Lee County, and part of Collier as well. So, but I'm going to focus in specifically on Cape Coral here. Okay, so here we go. So this is Cape Coral. This gives us what happened last month. Our median sale price has dropped, probably the lowest we've seen, I think, since probably 2021. So we're showing 2,839 single family residents for sale. Right now it's about 2,780, so it's come down a little bit. But I'd just like to show you what it was in 2019. This is the furthest I can go back on this graph, but I'd just like to illustrate a couple of things here. So if we go back all the way to May 2019, we had 2,230 single family homes for sale. So we're showing right now another 500, which is obviously still more, but you have to consider a couple of things that have happened since 2019 I mean. Since 2019, I think we had about 195,000 people that lived in Cape Coral. Now it's probably around the 230,000 range. So you've had since then about 35,000 people move into the area. The other thing that you find out when you drive through our area, you see a lot of new homes being built. So those will be additional inventory that's got added to our area. So I did a little bit of checking on that, and I went back to 2019, looked at homes were built in 2019, 2020, and so on. And the number that had sold just with our MLS was about 10,000 homes that had sold that were built from 2019 up to current 2024. Now that's not going to take into consideration people who decided to buy a lot and then build a house on it. Those particular homes will not even have been sold on the MLS. I got a couple of homes right now that fall in that category where these people have bought land, they're building on them right now. So when that house sold, that house is completed, it's not going to show up as being a sale sold water on the MLS. It will show as a piece of land, but not with a house sitting on it. And then we had a number of gated communities that have come in as well. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I was thinking about one, that just went away. Stonewater. Okay, so Stonewater is one up in the northwest. Now, I know they will have some of the homes that will be listed for sale on the MLS, but they also have additional inventory that people go in, this is what I've got, and they'll sell off their inventory. And Stonewater just one of others, a number of others who come into play as well that we've seen being built. And even some of the builds like Lennar, they may put certain homes like Adams do that are listed for sale on the MLS, but they'll generally have other inventory that may be in progress that will not necessarily turn up on the MLS. So when we see, as I said right here, this number is 2,230. This was back in May of 2019. So now we're about 500 homes more, but you have to consider why is that? Well, because we have a lot more homes available. So obviously you're going to see more homes. There's, like what I'm saying is in 2019, there wasn't as many homes, physical homes that existed compared to what happened in 2024. You know, when you got 30,000 people that moved in that time period, you know, if an average was 3 person per home, you're talking about 10,000 homes. You know, that's a lot of additional inventory and homes that are now available that could potentially be added to the market. But things did change. I mean, back in 2020, we were at 2,230. We went down to 1,484 in May. And then in May of 2021, we were at 687. So we saw a big drop, as a lot of places did, with the number of homes for sale. And then when we go into May of 2022, we look at that, we see that the inventory started to rise again, 1,068. And then May of 2023, obviously we had Ian that came into play. We're at 1,800, and as I said right now, that we are back up to 2,839. But that number has been staying relatively consistent. This is shown almost 2,900. In April, we dropped a little bit from that. March, we were actually closer to 3,000, but again, we've come down. February, in the 2,900 range. So we've not topped above the 3,000 homes for sale in our area, and whether we'll go above that, I don't know. You know, nobody can tell what the market will be, but obviously nationally, when we see there's a shortage of homes in an area, at some point in time that did most definitely apply here, but we're no longer seeing that. So we've definitely switched from a seller's market over to a buyer's market. We're seeing the average price points have come down as well, but it's interesting to see how many homes have actually sold so far this year within Cape Coral and what the price point is. Some of those price points have been pretty high. In fact, as of right now, we got a home that went pending in the last week in Cape Coral, almost at $5 million. If that closes in the next 30 to 60 days, that would be the second most expensive home that's closed in Cape Coral in the last 12 months. So, I mean, things are still closing, we're still moving homes, but there's just more to choose from. Obviously, we're in a bit of a weird market right now where we've got interest rates are on the high side in the 7% range. We've obviously got an increase in insurance related to Ian and other things as well. But the things that I read, that insurance is on the rise, just not here. It's doing it throughout various other areas of the country too. But I'm seeing some crazy figures thrown out there where people are saying the average cost of insurance in our area is $12,000 a year. I've not come across anything that comes close to that. I've come across some maybe in the $3,000-4,000 range. If you're buying $1 million plus home, a couple of million, obviously it's going to be more money. But I've not necessarily seen anything that is that level. I've seen some older homes where both homeowners and flood insurance has come close to $10,000, but they were fairly high-end homes, but they were old homes as well. But again, all of those factors are things you take into consideration. I've got a customer right now that has a home listed close to $1 million. They bought this home about 20 years ago. I sold it to them. They paid in the 500 range back then. Based on the mortgage right now, the interest rate at 2.99%, the fact it's homesteaded, they pay about $1,500 a month on mortgage. And as I explained to them yesterday, the same buyer now on their property, based on where rates are and prices are, their base payment is going to be $4,700 a month. When you add taxes, insurance, it's about $6,700 a month. And I said to him, you know, just a matter of interest, could you handle that sort of payment yourself right now? And they said, no, we could not. So people always have to understand too that home ownership has gone up quite a bit. So obviously the level of buyers that can afford that type of property in that price range is not a huge amount. It's a relatively small amount. And there's a fair amount of homes in their price point that people will go after as well. So, you know, you just have to look at all of that when you look at the market. So let's take a closer look and just see what some of the higher end properties that have sold in the last, so far this year. You might be surprised at what we're seeing. So, so far this year, we've had 1,834 homes sell in Cape Coral. So that's a lot of homes. So there's obviously still a lot of desirability here, and people, regardless of what's going on in the market, will always still buy anyway. It's always going to happen. It's just a matter of getting a piece of that pie, both on the selling and on the buyer side as well. But let's take a look and see. Okay, actually that was basically the whole MLS. Okay, what I was looking at within single family, all Cape Coral. So basically it's 391 homes. It did sound like a lot, didn't it? That have sold so far this year within the Cape. But it's interesting to see what some of the price points are right here. We've had 2,000, let me get this right this time, 424 homes that have closed in Cape Coral so far this year. So that's quite a big number. So people are always buying, and this area has always been fairly transient. There's always people coming and going. It's not like you get some areas where people want to buy a home, they're there forever. Florida, on our area, Cape Coral, has never really been that way. There's people always moving around, things change within a family, or you get people come down here for retirement, maybe whole different things come into play. So there's a lot of people why people move here, a lot of people why people move out, but that's a fairly active market, 2,424. So let's take a look and see. So we have had 25 homes closed so far this year in excess of listed in excess of $2 million. So that's quite a lot. And when I was in this business years ago here, the idea of having a $2 million sale in Cape Coral was like impossible. You never hear of that. We even had one that was high as $3,700,000, and this just happened in the last month. This is this property that sits on the river that you see right here. Real nice home, listed at $3,800,000, and that sold for $3,700,000, and somebody actually financed that as well. And then the next one was back in February, which is in the southwest part of Cape Coral. This one sold for $3,100,000, and that was a cash sale on that one. And then we got another one that sold on Southeast 21st Place, probably on the river again as my guess. Yeah, based on the address. That sold in February for $3,300,000. That was a cash sale as well. And then we got one here on Southwest 49th again, sold for $3,400,000 back in January. That was a finance one right there. And then we got one here on Viking Court in the Yacht Club, sold for $3 million, not that long ago either, and that was also a cash sale too. And we've got another one, $3,100,000 down in Cape Harbor, and that was conventional. So it looks like we're running maybe about 50% our cash. This is one up in the northwest, so it has a southwest address. It's above Pine Island Road, close to Mount Mache. Sold for $2,750,000 back in May. We've got another one, we'll look at one more in Cape Harbor, sold for $2,800,000, and that was a cash sale as well. So there is plenty of money still moving into Cape Coral. If we go back right now to the pending, I'll go over here and we'll do this. So search residential, single family, all Cape Coral. Pending right now. So pending right now, we've got 780 homes that are currently pending, and all different price points. But we have them as high is 4,000,009. This one I said right here, this went under contract in the last week, actually under contract yesterday, June the 11th. So this will be this, when it closes, the second most expensive home, where I mentioned earlier, sold in Cape Coral so far in the last 12 months. And we got one on Surfside, new construction, pending at 3 million. Another one, June 3rd, 2,000,007. This is on Coral Drive. This was a newer home built in 2015 on the river. And then we've got another one in the Yacht Club, listed pending at 2,000,005. And another one in Cape Harbor, 2,000,004. I mean, and these are all relatively new in the last 30 days that we've seen these properties go under contract. So again, it shows you that people are not, even with the issues we've had with hurricanes and with insurance and stuff, the people don't feel there's a doom and gloom that the market is falling or whatever. And prices are definitely coming down, because obviously with COVID, with the shortage of numbers and everybody want to move here, it pushed prices up. Now they're coming down some. Where they'll end up at, who knows, but it's certainly no repeat of 2008. So I think a lot of what you see online is just kind of like clickbait, scaremongering. I came across an article today in one of the English newspapers I look at called the Daily Mail, and it mentioned, like, due to Hurricane Ian in the Cape Coral metro area, we had 5,000 homes were destroyed and 30,000 were damaged. I'm like scratching my head, like, where the heck did that number come from? And what is metro Cape Coral area anyway? You know, Cape Coral itself, we did have some homes that were damaged, but totally destroyed, I don't know, wasn't that many. I'd be surprised if it was 50. You know, I may have seen a couple, 2 or 3 in the Yacht Club areas that got torn down, but I don't think it was significant. Now, if you took across the entire area that was affected by Ian within Southwest Florida, with Sanibel, Fort Myers Beach, Mount Lachey, Pine Island, and other areas and stuff, and parts of Fort Myers too, it probably would give you that number. But obviously, what it was telling you there in that newspaper is 30,000 damage and 5,000 destroyed in Metro Cape Coral. That's not true at all. So again, you just got to be careful what you read, because the definition these days is what is truth. So that's why I look at here. What are the figures telling me? What am I seeing? Am I seeing more inventory? Yes, I am. Are things taking longer to sell? Yes, they are. Are we seeing more price reductions? Yes, we are seeing that too as well. But again, we're in an election year. We are seeing high rates on mortgages as well. Values are up a lot, as is what it's cost to insure. So put all that together, it gets a fairly complicated market. So that's what we're dealing with today. So I think just a lot of what you see out there, I would just be careful what you're hearing. If you want to know generally what's going on, talk to agents like myself that know. As I live here anyway, I live right in Cape Coral. I own a couple of properties here too, as well. So I know exactly what's going on. I've sold close to $6 million in real estate right now. I've got about another $1 million under contract. So even in what's relatively quiet area, I'm still pretty active. I still do quite a lot of real estate. So again, I know what I'm doing. So as I said, any other questions you may have about anything, please reach out to me. Hopefully you find this of interest.